If you love Paul Harvey stories and the rest of the story, subscribe now.
Now the rest of the story. Chuck Ross was a freelance writer with an unusual dream. He wanted to write a prize-winning, best-selling novel. Like many with similar aspirations, Chuck had labored without success for years. But now, at last, he had a manuscript guaranteed to ravish both critics and the public as a surefire bestseller. Chuck chose 4 publishers that he believed should have the privilege of competing for the work: Random House, Holden Mifflin, Big Doubleday, and Harcourt Grace, to which he sent the first 21 pages of the untitled book with an introductory cover letter. Then he sat back and waited for the applause. The first response came a month later from Harcourt Grace. They did not consider unsolicited manuscripts, they said. Tough luck, thought Chuck. All right. Next to respond were Doubleday and Horton Mifflin. Both claimed they had read Chuck's novel, although both had rejected it. Chuck's confidence in the publishing business faltered. But then finally he heard from the 4th publisher, Random House. They would require more than those first 21 pages to make a decision. Chuck went back to his typewriter and neatly produced the first full quarter of the book's manuscript. Now he was headed to Random House. Random House replied, "Thanks, but no thanks." Clearly it was time for Chuck Ross to reevaluate his approach. He resolved that in the future he would send no fragments, only the completed manuscript. Thus, the entire book was sent to the same 4 publishers and 10 additional publishers. And I'm talking about important names such as William Morrow, Macmillan, Prentice Hall, Harper, and Row. And yes, the novel was rejected by all 14. One of the replies stated, "Why don't you find an agent?" So Chuck sent his manuscript to more than a dozen respected literary agents and agencies. Not one of them accepted it. Now Chuck Ross received that last series of rejections more than 30 years ago. So he went into magazine publishing. After that, I hear that he gave up his great American novel aspirations altogether. But can you blame him? Many say the publishing industry is unfair to unknown. Without the right connections and plenty of luck, a novice author doesn't have a chance. And Chuck Ross would certainly agree with that. He was positive that he had sent those publishers and agents a surefire prize-winning bestseller. And he was right. He was right. You see, the manuscript Chuck Ross typed up and sent all over the publishing world. Those were not his words. To prove a point, he had copied on his own typewriter somebody else's book, specifically Jerzy Kosinski's 1968 novel Steps. Steps had already won the prestigious National Book Award and had already sold hundreds of thousands of copies. It had tried and true success, but nobody to whom Chuck Ross sent it thought it was fit to print. Not even Random House. And Random House was the original publisher of Kosinski's prize-winning novel. Now I think you can figure out the rest of the story.